This is MediaBistro.com's Media Beat. We're here with Lockhart Steele, founder and president of the blog network Curbed. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, great to be here.
And we talked about Curbed, we talked about some other trends, and I really want to just hammer in on some media trends in this part of the interview. And
let's do it.
And everyone's talking about content walls and paid content, and now a lot of the magazine publishers are going after the devices, iPad, e-readers. How will all of this affect the online ecosystem? Curbed network, completely open, right? The link economy. How will either paid content or the e-reader economy affect this ecosystem?
See, I think my feeling is we don't have any idea at this point.
Yeah.
And I think it's the job of small publishers like us, and we used to talk about this at Gawker as well, which is like, let the big guys figure out some of these answers and then just copy them in a good way. I think it's interesting that, for instance, the iPad, it's like every magazine and sort of old media company, you hear them talking about, like, we've got an iPad strategy.
Yes.
Like, I don't know anyone in the new media space, like just on the internet, who has an iPad strategy.
Yes.
Like, let's just see what the damn thing is before we try and build a strategy around it, right? Like, I think we can find out pretty quickly what's going to work on that platform. If what people really want on an iPad is a specially designed version of the site that like maximizes viewability on that form factor, well, great, we'll do that. Yeah. But I don't think we need to be first to the land rush, and we don't need to be out there on day one sort of trying to figure out what it's going to be. And I'm always a little surprised I'm surprised at how much some of the media companies seem to be investing in, what is essentially, or just, someone asked me once, like, what's your mobile strategy? And I'm like, you read my site on your iPhone. It's like
mobile version.
Yeah, like it doesn't. Sometimes I think this stuff just gets overthought and overcomplexified. It's like, hey, we want to put our content out there in whatever way people want to read it. If the iPad ends up, really being a hit in a certain way, then it shouldn't be a whole lot of work to sort of repurpose our content into a more viewable iPad type of thing.
And speaking of putting content out there, Rupert Murdoch making waves lately in his negotiations or his talking about pulling content off Google.
Right.
And that's, he's been out there in the last couple of months talking about that. What is the Curbed network's relationship like with Google?
Oh God, I mean, we, like everybody's, we bow at their feet and pray for their love, I would say, is pretty much our relationship. No, I think one of the things that in the local space, it's a very competitive SEO, search engine optimization game. A good example is like when you type in a restaurant name, we would love eater results to come up. But you're also fighting with Urban Spoon's results and New York Magazine's results and Foursquare's results. And it's an incredible, we're all playing an incredible game of, trying to move up and down the Google rankings. And, as a result, we try to be as friendly with Google as humanly possible. And I promise never to threaten to sue them.
There, you have it there. Curbed Network will not sue Google.
We will not be suing Google this year, exactly.
And AOL is making a big bet on online content.
Yeah,
Tim
definitely.
Armstrong, the new CEO, relatively new CEO there, hiring a lot of experienced journalists and bringing in what I guess some would call long tail or citizen journalism. You have Demand Media also doing a similar thing, associated content, all in this group. How does that sort of, some are calling it factory farm journalism. How does that sort of those content factories, for lack of a better term, affect a blog network like Curbed?
I don't think it does. To me, I think what those guys are playing largely is that kind of search engine game. A good example is like AOL is doing some content in the housing space now. And I was talking to someone who contributes for them, and they were saying it's sort of meant to compete with Curbed. And I went and looked at it and thought, like, what this doesn't have, and what's hard to have without having a really, without having full-time teams of people who are great writers, is a really strong editorial voice. And I think that's what a blog network like ours really brings to the table, is like, if you read Curbed every day, we're giving you a lot of information. We do a great job of aggregating what's out there. But we also do it in a way that's humorous, hopefully, and wry, and not just a sort of cut and dried take on what's going on in the real estate world. And I think that's one of the things that no one can take that away from us. Some of these big projects might, compete with us on the Google rankings, exactly the kind of stuff we were just talking about. But a lot of our traffic is organic. It's people who choose to come to our site every day and are regular readers. I think something like 25% of Eater's readers come to the site more than 200 times a month. So you're talking about real addicts, people, and this is true of a lot of great blogs. They have people who, are at their desks and, pay us a visit in the morning and then want to come again in the afternoon. And, it's amazing how loyal I think some of these people are. And I whatever the other guys are doing, I think AOL's project looks frankly, awesome and fascinating. But I don't think it's going to, I don't see it hurting what we're doing.
And last question, do you think 5 years from now, the CPM will still be the way advertising is priced online?
You know, if I had to guess, I would say yes, just because change on the internet especially in the advertising category. I mean, 5 years ago, we were all talking about the fact that these same banner ad units have been around forever, and like, when are they going to get replaced? Well, we're still using the same banner ad units 5 years later. Until someone comes up with a system, I mean, you think about the huge ecosystem of ad agency people, publishers, brands that are all used to pricing and selling this way. For there to be a wholesale change, I think somebody would have to come up with a really spectacular solution, and I guess I would bet that that's not going to happen.
Interesting stuff. Well, Lockhart, thanks so much for joining us.
Great, I appreciate it.
MediaBistro.com's Media Beat, Lockhart Steele, founder and president of the blog network Curbed.
Bye.